Hmm. All right, guys, awesome. So we are about four after. So we're going to start to hop in. First of all, can everybody hear me? Okay, nods, shakes. Outstanding. Well, first of all, happy Wednesday. As usual, I'm excited to catch up with you guys. As you know, we've had to miss last week just due to transparently my competition schedule, but glad to have everybody back and we're to start to get back into a rhythm with these group calls. Couple announcements and especially for some new faces in here. So keep in mind these meetings run every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, at least for the time being. We do periodically, like every couple of years. If you've been here a little while, you may have seen those times change. As periodically, I'll kind of take a vote. We'll make adjustments just due to everybody's availability as best as possible. With that in mind, what is the purpose of these meetings? So one, we cover a lot of updates within the program. I'm always trying to keep you guys ahead of things that we're releasing, new opportunities that you guys have as far as adjustments in your nutrition, new features that we have within the program. I'm always trying to make sure that this is a world-class service for you guys. In addition, we're also talking about common struggles that you guys may be going through. What's one of the hot topics that everybody always has room for improvement in? Everybody always has room for improvement in is going to be nutrition, for example, but we'll also break down things like training more in depth, among other topics. We do a lot of mindset work within these calls. So that's something to keep in mind as well. A lot of the things that we're going to go over in your actual training, in your check-ins, in you following the program, of course, excuse me, is going to be pretty straightforward. But you'll hear oftentimes, and as many of you have unfortunately maybe had to go through at some point in your journey, that you cannot do what you need to do if the mindset is not in check, right? If we are not focused on our goals, if we are not in some, I want to say necessarily a happy place, but a focused place on doing what we need to do. We cover a lot of those topics in here. So keep in mind, we cover a lot of that stuff within these meetings. And then if nothing else, it's another opportunity to connect with me on a basis. So some of you guys are on different programs. You might have more contact or less contact with me. This is another opportunity to kind of reach out to me. We can kind of cover things within these meetings. Thumbs, shakes, outstanding. Love to see it. Please turn your cameras on if you are available to do so. Please be a part of this community as best as possible. Darian, love to see it, man. Uh, Hopping in for the meeting. So as we jump into it today, so a couple announcements for while we're here. One, I am going to be the Stern coach a little bit and just go a refresher. You doing your check-ins, so monthly progress photos, your weekly weigh-ins, and your weekly check-in forms are the bare minimum of this program. I literally and my team cannot do their job to help you in the best way if you are late or if you are not completing those check-ins. Basic part of the program. Please mute yourself if you aren't already. Those are basic parts of the program. If you are missing those, it delays every other process within that week. And then I'm only getting feedback to you later. You're getting updates to your program later down the line. Please stay on top of your check-ins and your processes. If you cannot, for whatever reason, just let me know. If some of you guys are on a different schedule that works out better for your life and things like that, and that's something that we can do. But please stay on top of your check-ins and your basic processes. Two, some adjustments. So if you are, well, not just here local, excuse me, but keep in mind that we do still run training sessions. So not only if you are local to San Antonio, Texas, do I do in-person training sessions. Keep in mind those are separate from the program that you were in. They're a separate fee. But if you'd like to schedule some in-person training work, I would love to do that with you. And for the month of March, fun fact, I'm going to be training some interns as part of some local programs here in the city. So we're going to be doing some discounted training sessions for the rest of March and a little bit of April. So if you want to get some work in and a little bit more direct work versus just what's on your program, a little bit more help with your technique and feeling things out, that's something that we can do. Just let me know. Two, if you are distant, you are not local to San Antonio, Texas, I do still do training sessions as well. They just are going to be digital. So we'll hook it up on FaceTime at a time that works for you and when you normally go to the gym. I can still walk you through things a lot more in depth because you're going to have one-to-one kind of communication with me over the phone. Sound good? Hell yeah. So let's get into today. Let's talk some nutrition. Everybody is calling me. Excuse me one moment. Awesome. As we set up. keep telling you guys it's hard being a handsome coach. You know what I mean? No. Bear with me. We're gonna share this screen. So awesome. Can everybody see my screen? Protein basics, outstanding. Love to see it. So before we get into today, obviously, some of you guys know how to read, but we're talking about protein 101. Now, what does that really mean? If you've seen within the previous, again, if you're newer here, keep in mind you can always go back to the Orbit Vault and go look at our previous meetings. I believe there's only one missing in there, but you'll see our previous group meetings that we've had. There's a lot of good information, good topics in there on something that you might be struggling with. Go back and watch those meetings if they apply to you. But we dive a lot into nutrition. If you see kind of from the top of the year, we've been breaking things down over time. What does just good nutrition practices look like? Okay, awesome. Now, how do we start to break this down? What does a meal prep schedule look like? What does that look like as far as buying groceries? Um, excuse me. And now we're diving into protein, and we'll start to break down those other macros as we keep going, right? But my goal for today is, do you just understand what protein is doing for you? It's not just, okay, I need to eat more chicken. Excuse me. It's not just I need to eat more chicken. I need you to understand what it does for your body and why it's so important and different ways that we can add it in, right? Something I was just talking to Caroline this past week about is about how to add in protein when we don't necessarily have time to sit down for a meal. Some of you guys struggle with hitting your protein numbers. Goodness, letting people in here. Some of you guys struggle with hitting your protein numbers on a regular basis. Hopefully this presentation will give you some ideas to kind of go around that. So protein 101, what does that really look like? Excuse me as I move this out the way. So protein matters. Why I say it very simply, and I try to keep things very simple for you guys within this program. I like to be very direct so you can act on it as quick as possible. Protein, you are going to keep, if we eat enough protein based on your body, based on your goals, you are going to keep the muscle that you already have, which is very important. And we're also going to build new muscle. That's the biggest thing. It's also going to help a big role in recovery. We'll dive into that in a second. One, as far as, excuse me, you keeping the muscle you already have. A lot of you guys are trying to lose weight in some way, or you're just trying to get leaner. You are losing fat. So we have you in a calorie deficit so that you can continue to lose fat so you can lean up so we can lose weight. In that process, again, how I've kind of, some of you guys have had a rude awakening in that aspect, a calorie deficit, we are literally feeding your body less than what it wants because it has to pull that energy from somewhere. So we're telling it that it has to pull it from fat, not from anywhere else. The goal is, how do we have it pull from fat, but not lose our muscle that we already have in the process? That's where, again, us keeping our protein intake high is going to come from. If you are in a deficit right now and you're trying to lose fat, you are probably eating more protein than some other individuals in the program. Maybe they're trying to gain weight, things like that, because it's much more important for you. I'll say that again. If you are losing weight right now and trying to lose fat, protein is that much more important for you. You have to hit that number as we go forward. Excuse me, us building more muscle. Everybody wants more muscle within this program. You should at least. It's going to have us look leaner. You're only going to be stronger in the gym, things like that. Also, if you're finding that you're not recovering well, one, that's something that you should probably bring to me. Hey, coach, after my workouts, week after week, month after month, I feel like I'm tired all the time. I feel sore all the time. I don't feel like I have energy in the gym. That could be a role, and that's something that we might need to raise your protein intake a little bit more. That's something that you should bring to me. Just keeping those things in mind. So, excuse me, we have a sense of why protein is important, straight up. Awesome. Again, we already kind of talked about this. I'm not going to dive into the exact sciences and things like that. Now, what you'll see online, we take care of this all for you. I don't need you necessarily to worry about this, but just to give you an idea, a lot of recommendations out there are going to be 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. Again, that's different based on your goals. Some of you guys are running. Some of you guys want to build as much muscle as possible. That is going to shift. But the biggest thing for most people, you should not be below, there's very little reason for you to be below 100 grams of protein per day. Very much so. Especially as a male, you're probably not dropping below 150 grams of protein per day. Just so you have some kind of loose numbers in your head, you should already have your macros assigned to you, unless it's something that we've talked about going over. And with that, this last biggest point is my intention for you is to spread that over the course of the day as best as possible. So if you're eating 2 meals a day, if you're eating three, if you're eating 5 meals a day, that we are spreading the load of that protein over the course of the day as best as possible around your schedule and around your appetite and things like that, right? Not only is that going to be better for your muscle growth sort of long term, but also you're probably going to feel a lot better, not only in your recovery, but how you feel kind of showing up to the gym or the track or whatever you're currently working on within this process. You guys with me so far? Outstanding. So getting into some more, excuse me, my elbow is very itchy. Getting into some more practical things as far as your protein. Now, what do I really mean by this? So before I dive into this slide, I do want to highlight for everybody, you are going to have to experiment within this process. My goal and a lot of coaching practices in general, my intention is to set you up on the right path and you know kind of the direction that you should be walking. There is going to be some things that I cannot answer down to the exact science because you need to experiment for your life, right? I cannot tell Chrissy, hey, you know what you're really gonna like? Cottage cheese. I don't like cottage cheese. Fun fact, right? So I'd hate to make a meal plan, for example. Yeah, look at Darian in there. That's crazy. I'm not eating that, right? So I would hate to tell you, Chrissy, that you have to eat cottage cheese if you don't eat that. And if you come to know in this program that I try to stay away from meal plans as best as possible, some people need it and it really helps them. But I want you to learn how to eat. I want to teach you how to fish so you can do it the rest of your life. Within that, there's going to be some experimentation. If you prefer to wake up and it's like, hey, coach, I want to eat chicken breast the rest of my life, and that's all I care about. Hey, man, that's your life, and that's cool. Me personally, I hate when people ask me about my eating habits. I'm like, coach, like, how do you stay fit and how do you, dude, I've been eating the same 6 meal variations for the last 5 years. It's very boring. And granted, that works really well for me. I have a lot going on. I'm busy. I really don't care. And I eat out on weekends. So that's where I get my variety. I can eat the same things during the week because I stay busy. I stay on track. And then I can splurge. I can have my restaurant I go out to on weekends. And that's enough for me. You need to find what systems work well for you. And that's something that we should be talking about on a semi-regular basis. So I can help you iron out what that should look like. Now, as far as choosing good protein sources, if we've made your meal plan, or excuse me, your meal structure in any way, most of you guys, we've already identified what are your favorite sources of protein. If we're talking about animal-based, I don't believe currently in here we have any vegans that are present. But within that, some different options you can do. Chicken breast, straightforward. Chicken, rice, and broccoli, you'll never go wrong with that meal, right? Ground beef, excuse beef, see y'all hear that? Ground beef, right? One of the most nutritious sources of protein that you can possibly do, right? I recommend everybody be eating ground beef, some servings of ground beef at least some point in your week, as long as it's something that you, of course, are comfortable eating. Fish, awesome source of protein that's also super low in calories most of the time. Are you eating fish? You're also getting your what's called healthy fats, omega-3s, omega-6s, things like that. Eggs 101. So if you've heard me say this before, we've probably gone over it in some point in time in your as far as building out your nutrition plan. Eggs are a great source of protein. They also are high in fat, and people like to, excuse me, people overlook that fact quite a bit. They are great as far as your protein. They are going to be higher in fats. They might be a sneaky aspect in your tracking your food and things like that. They're like, why are my fats always so high? Are you eating a lot of eggs? Not to say that you can't eat a lot of eggs, but again, they're going to be higher in fat than maybe you might be used to, something to consider, something to be aware of. Greek yogurt, always awesome. Cottage cheese, I'm not eating that. If that's your thing, that's cool. So again, there's things that we can look at. If I'm going to show you guys something as well that you can always kind of dive into yourself. Um, Best protein per serving eats. And we'll look at this crummy AI sort of scale here, right? But if you can go on your chart and kind of find based on what, excuse me, protein sources that you like and you see yourself eating, we can look at a scale here on, okay, how am I picking the best possible servings of like meat and protein-based sources based on the stuff that I like to eat. So if I'm comfortable eating, I don't know, chicken breast and tuna, well, I know chicken breast has 47, so maybe I prioritize this in my weekly meals more than the tuna, for example. But what we're getting at, if we kind of come back to the presentation here, is again, you're gonna have to experiment with what you like to eat. Some of you guys have brought to me questions as far as, well, coach, like, what should I be eating throughout the week? It's your food, man. You're gonna have to sit and you're gonna have to do some planning. And again, that's something that you can bring to me as well, because I'd love to help you. But you're gonna have to sit and do some planning on, if I'm eating 2 to 3 times a day, what are the meals that I want to eat? What do I see myself making? If I'm getting tired of the meals that I'm eating, am I experimenting with cooking other stuff? Am I trying to learn how to cook? Some of you guys have mentioned, well, coach, I don't really eat vegetables. Well, one, you're not going to grow the way you want to, I promise. You need to get used to eating veggies. Two, are you experimenting with cooking them in different ways? Are you trying to become not to say a better cook, but a better cook for yourself? Are you used to cooking different types of meals? Are you experimenting with stuff that you may like or stuff that you haven't had? And the kind of last point that I'll finish off on this slide is that if you like excuse me, your favorite places you like to go, right? Bryson, you don't have to answer, right? What's your favorite place to go out to eat, right? Lana, what's your favorite place to go out to eat? Lana was on a pizza kick a couple weeks ago. I'm messing with you, right? But what is your favorite places you like to go? You can make that stuff at home. I'm a very big believer in free will. You can make your favorite stuff at home, I promise. It's going to take some work and some effort, but if you like Chinese food, figure out how to make it at home. Figure out how to meal prep it. If you like Italian pasta, you can meal prep that. The meal prep is just a system to set you up on, this is going to allow me to cook right now so I don't have to cook later. That's all that meal prepping is. What are the foods that you see yourself making and that are work and that are going to contribute to your macros and to your goals? Protein efficiency, again, got some examples in here for you. Now, the biggest thing that you look for, one, most of you guys are trying to lose weight, you're trying to lose fat, right? You want to look for things per serving, right? So per group of that item is the highest possible thing in protein, but it's the lowest in calories. Because if you're trying to lose weight, we know that we don't have a lot of calories to work with. So most of my calories need to be dedicated towards the protein that I'm trying to eat. Egg whites, chicken breasts, think leaner meats, think white meat. So chicken thighs versus chicken breast, I should be leaning towards chicken breast. If I'm thinking beef versus fish, I should lean towards fish. If I'm thinking beef, I'm eating 93.7, right? Leaner beef versus, I think they have like, I haven't eaten fatty beef in a while. You guys know the ratios better, right? Choosing a leaner beef versus a fattier beef, you're looking for any opportunity to eat more protein and less calories. You're going to need to take some time with this. You're going to need to plan for this before you go to the grocery store, before you order groceries. And again, if you need help, that's something that I can help you with. Right? Again, if you are trying to gain weight or you're trying to maintain, we have a bit more flexibility. Some of you guys need to gain weight. Caroline, I'm gonna call you out in here a little bit, right? Because I care about you, right? You shouldn't lean towards those leaner meats. I want you to get in a little bit more fat. I want you to look for opportunities to get more calories in, right? So maybe I lean towards darker meats, for example, right? And again, if you're trying to kind of maintain, or if we know that you're in a maintenance phase, you can have some flexibility to go either way. But hopefully, just giving you an idea of what to chase: leaner meats, more protein, less calories, versus the opposite. Outstanding. So what does a high protein meal look like? Again, if you've listened to anything that we've talked about within this process, how we've made every meal, we always start with the protein every time. Arguably, that's going to be the most important macro that you consume towards your kind of physique goals here. Are you hitting your protein intake? So generally, a good rule is like 25 to 40 grams of protein per meal. You don't have to go off of that. Some of you guys, for example, if you know me, I eat twice a day. That works really well for me in my schedule as well as my appetite. I eat twice a day, but I have a very big breakfast and I have a very big dinner because I have to split my calories between those two meals. If that doesn't work for you, you can split it between three. You can split it between 4 meals, whatever works better for you as we go forward. All right, but just again, give you some structure on what that might look like. Protein snacks, something that we like to talk about. So one, if you find that like, hey, like I'm struggling to get my protein in around my meals. So coach, I already ate 3 meals a day, but it was hard for me to eat chicken, beef and fish in those meals to get enough to hit my protein intake. How can I supplement that? And note that word that I'm saying, how can I supplement that what I'm already eating to actually hit my goals? Awesome. Some things that you can add. Greek yogurt. Awesome. Things like Greek yogurt and not just beef jerky, but like little meat sticks and stuff like that, or meat and cheese plates. Awesome ways to get in extra protein for very little calories. Right? That's something that you can add almost all the time. I'm a big fan of like Greek yogurt and like fruit and stuff after the gym as kind of a post-workout meal, for example. Pre or post, honestly. Regardless, two, we're talking about protein shakes. If you don't hear anything from me, note this. It is always going to be easier to drink your calories instead of eat them. I don't want you to prioritize that. But if you are notorious for kind of struggling with your appetite, you may need to lean towards, if you're eating 3 meals a day, maybe one of those meals is more of a liquid-based meal for you. That's something that can help you kind of work out. Protein shakes are awesome, and you using protein powder, it's a very bioavailable source of protein. All that means is it's going to do its job very well. Again, protein powder in itself. Tuna packets, my favorite struggle meal. I'm just kidding. But regardless, excuse me, again, also a good source. Very low calories for very high protein. If you are a more like the gym rats in here and you really don't care about flavor, highly recommend you doing more protein powder. That's something that you can just kill in your break time. As soon as you get home, just rip a tuna packet. You'll be good from there. Different options, different things to think about within kind of your journey here. So just a structure and kind of prioritizing how should we be consuming protein? What should that look like? One, every meal that you kind of structure, your main meals should have protein in them. You should be building around your protein every time. If you're eating a snack, and that's kind of how we define it within this program, a snack is something that doesn't have to have protein. If you're eating a meal, it should have some dedicated protein source. You should be able to look at your plate and be like, this is my protein of this meal. Two, what you call it? Again, how do we find ways to get in more protein? Are you prepping ahead of time? Are you meal prepping? Remember, meal prepping does not have to be a week in advance. Are you meal prepping the night before? Are you meal prepping the morning of? If you struggle with dinner, then you need to meal prep that at that breakfast time, you need to meal prep for that dinner, or you need to meal prep a day in advance, or 3 days in advance, or a week in advance. If you know me and my schedule, I do not physically have time if I do not cook on Sundays. Sundays is my meal prep day. I will not have time the rest of the week with everything I have going on, business and social media and things like that in mind, right? What is going to work for you? You have to experiment. And if something doesn't feel like a good fit or it doesn't feel perfect, you need to do more adjustment. Don't take your life for what it is right now and be like, this is kind of working. No, we can optimize this a little bit better. We can specialize this for your life a little bit better. It can fit a different way. Meal prepping for me takes about 2.5 hours for the week to get all my meals in, and I cook about 14 meals or so in that time. Something to think about. Use shakes to fill in the gaps. Again, if you're not hitting your protein intake, I cannot stress this enough to you how important that number is. I'd rather you miss your calorie number than you not hitting your protein in certain cases. You need to find a way to get to that number. If you know you're going to have a bad day, for example, I had a lot to do today. I had a lot of meetings. I know that I didn't eat my lunch as I should have. So I just drank 2 protein shakes. Is that ideal? No, of course not. But it was a way for me to band-aid because I know today was going to be a rough day. What are your band-aids? What are your break the glass kind of processes? Do you have backups or do you have alternative ways to hit your protein? Snacks, shakes, protein powders, things like that. And then just having snacks available, we've already kind of talked about that. All right, awesome. So protein powder explained. This is where we start getting the supplements. So I cannot stress enough the word, excuse me, the word supplement. You are supplementing an already good diet. a lot of people, and I still get these questions to this day, as far as, hey, coach, I'm not eating good at all, and I eat like once a day. What's a good protein powder? We're having the wrong conversation. As long as you are consistent in your meals, we're pretty damn consistent on hitting our target as far as protein. Then we can start to talk about a protein powder being added into your process. But you need to get food in to hit your protein. You need real food. You need those nutrients. After that, we can talk about protein powder. What does that look like? I meant to grab mine, but regardless, uh, the main thing I want you to worry about, protein gets I think, overcomplicated. If you have more questions about it, go check out the supplement guide in the Orbit Vault. It's in the nutrition section. I recommend you go give that a read. We're talking about right now, all I need you to prioritize is a good whey protein. Most people, it's not going to bother. If you have stomach issues, just let me know. But a good whey protein, and you're looking for a 1:4 or a 1:5 ratio. So if I look on the back and I see that per serving, per scoop, it's 25 grams of protein. Excuse me. I'm looking for the calories to be around, well, 125 or something like that. I say in 1:4, 1:5, I mean the amount of protein versus the amount of calories per serving. Again, if you have questions about that, you let me know and we can go over that again. Those are almost always going to be a good protein source. Um, what you call it? There are some like very terrible ratios out there. So if you look at a lot of things, for example, if you look at muscle milk protein, well, really all their shit sucks, but their protein powders and their shakes, they're very high in carbs, they're very high in calories per serving. It's not that that's inherently bad, depending on your goals, but for most people, they cannot afford to take in that much protein because of the amount of calories that have to come with it. Something to think about. Protein powder, again, not required for your process, especially if you are a little bit tighter on funds. You don't have to get protein powder, but it can be something awesome to kind of fill in the gap, and a really bioavailable source that's going to work really well for you. So common mistakes to avoid. This is a little bit generic, but just some kind of things to think about. Again, I want you to eat more of your protein than drinking it. Prioritize eating most of your protein, prioritizing food versus like powder. For example, try to spread it over the course of the day as best as you can. You're probably going to feel better. You're probably going to get better results as best as you can. Three, does protein timing matter? Yes, but not that much. So if you've heard the myths or you've kind of seen videos online, it's like, okay, I have to get 50 grams of protein right after the gym or my muscles are going to deteriorate. That's a myth. Don't worry about it. It's not that serious. Are you consistently hitting 2 to 3 meals a day with a good amount of protein in those meals? You're doing your job, right? Again, and finally, really, I cannot stress this enough. Are you doing your job in prepping in advance? Are you failing to prepare? And is that why you're running into issues? Well, coach, I'm struggling eating my meals. I'm struggling hitting my macros. Awesome. Did you meal prep? And if you didn't meal prep because you don't have to meal prep, are you prepared to cook your meals fresh? If that works for you, that's awesome. You can find your balance. So on Tuesdays, I'm just using as you, excuse me, using you as an example, Roberto. On Tuesdays, I meal prep, and on Thursdays, I cook all my meals fresh because I have time on Thursdays. That's awesome. What are the ratios that you need for it to work for your life? And again, just reiterating that protein is going to be more important for your fat loss. If you're on a fat loss journey, there is zero reason why you should not be hitting your protein marker. Zero reason. You need to find a way. Because not only is that going to play a role in keeping you full, which is the hardest part of a fat loss journey, is because you're hungry. I'm hungry. I know that I'm eating less than ideal because my body wants to start to pull that weight from the fat and stuff. I'm hungry. You eating more protein is going to keep you fuller for longer so you don't have a chance to get cravings. Two, it's also going to allow us to, I'm gonna get a little sciencey here, but long story short, it's harder to digest, so it's actually burning more calories. It's a whole big thing, right? You need protein in your fat loss journey much more as a priority. We talked about day structures. We talked about key takeaways pretty much, and that is about it. Hopefully that makes sense. I know I kind of rapid fired that a little bit. questions, comments, concerns so far, hit me. Anything. You probably should have a question.
Hey, coach.
What's up, man?
I was talking to a buddy who, yeah, just about protein intake in general, and he said that you can only absorb a certain amount per meal. Yeah, I've seen conflicting information, but I'm an accountant, I'm not an expert here, so I thought I'd ask the expert that I know.
So one, for all of you guys' goals, I'm just gonna say no. To keep it super simple, that's not true. Don't even worry about it. You can absorb more protein than you think you can. To give you a little bit of a more in-depth answer, yes, there is, so to speak, some signs as far as like there's limitations for your muscle growth, but your body, if you don't know, plays a huge role. Protein, and that's why protein is so important. It's not just for your muscles. Protein plays a role in what we call tissue building. So it's going to play a role into like the health of your skin, the health of your nails, right? Anywhere where there's tissue, where your body had to build something, that's protein, right? So even if it doesn't go directly towards those muscles, Anthony, it's going to go somewhere where it's going to be very useful, but also you're going to absorb way more to your muscles than you think you can. So I tell most people, do not worry about over consuming in a setting. Outstanding. What else? Questions, comments, concerns? Jake, good to see you, man. Say Rams. Bryson, you're new here. I have to pick on the new guy every time. You have to ask me one question before you get off, man. I'm sorry. It's the rules.
I'll think about it.
Okay, my man. Awesome. Well, if everybody's good on protein, then we're going to open it up to general questions. So keep in mind, I do always stay after in these meetings. If you do want to kind of run something with me a little bit more one-on-one or kind of direct. But in the meantime, any questions that aren't necessarily about the presentation we went over today? Anything on your mind, your training, your nutrition, your sleep, pain in your body? No? Easy day. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that clears up things around protein. If you have more questions, send me a message anytime so I can help you stay on track. Keep in mind, I am going to stay after this meeting until everybody is gone, unless you want to run something by me a little bit more directly. And if not, peace and protein to you. Have a good Wednesday. And whoever wants to go first, because I'm off the clock now.
I, I got a quick question for you.
Hit me.
Somewhat related. I noticed in the Chrono app, whenever I'm logging carbs and stuff like that, the Chrono app actually defaults to net carbs. Whenever it comes over into the Orbit app, it doesn't do that. It shows total carbs. That kind of caught me off guard. My calculations were wrong, and I was starting to flip out like, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah.
So which one should I pay more attention to? Does it really matter? Is there that big of a difference now that I've added fruits and vegetables because of you?
Is it that bad? Is it that big of a difference? Depends on the individual. For your case, John, I wouldn't worry about it. But if you had to
Okay.
prioritize, I would definitely say the chronometer. Definitely prioritize the chronometer numbers.
Okay. Chronometer is going to give me the net carbs. So I mean, adding the fruits and veggies like you suggested, that's giving me a lot less carbs. So it is a little bit harder to hit total carbs, like hitting that 200 net, because I'm having to do 220, 240 or something like that throughout the day if I do it that way.
Now, mind you, so this is the beauty of the coaching aspect within this process, John, right? Yes, I would prefer you hit the numbers that we set as far as your carbs,
Yep.
as far as your calories. However, understand that I can, and nobody, and no coach on the planet, if they tell you they can, they're wrong. I cannot tell you exactly to the exact number how many carbs
Yeah.
your body needs, right? So
Yeah.
within that, it's going to be a back and forth as far as do you feel, as far as carbs goes, do you feel like you have energy in the gym and energy for your workouts and energy for the day? And are you still continuing to lose weight? If we accomplish both of those, I don't need you to hit a specific number. And we
Okay.
might find that in the coming weeks, like, hey, let's bring that number down a little bit because that just works better. But I don't
Okay.
want you to feel, because again, we had a successful week this past week. We lost weight.
Yep.
So I don't want you to feel like, oh, I have to hit this number
Okay.
or I'm gonna fail the program. It's a
Yeah.
guideline to kind of show like, hey, you did need more fruits and vegetables, but I don't need you to overdo it if it feels like, hey, I'm not hungry, or I feel like I'm overdoing it, or I feel like I'm gonna gain
Okay.
weight this week. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Don't overthink it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate it.
My man.
All right.
See you later.
Thank you.
Jared.
Hey, so I know when we last talked about my calorie count, or our last check-in, I think you had mentioned my calorie count was gonna be around that 1,800 to 2,000 mark.
Yeah.
So right now in Chronometer it's set to 3,000 and it's got the percentages. I can lower it myself, but I don't know, those percentages don't change. So
yeah.
then my protein drops to like 90 grams or something like that.
I can fix your stuff for you right after this meeting, man. Jared Millers. Yeah, man, I'll make sure that gets adjusted for you and I'll send you a message when it's fixed, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Talk soon, man. Are we losing weight this week or what?
Yes, yes, we are. I weighed in. It looked about the same, but I couldn't use the bathroom in the morning, so I'm assuming that was a little off. I'm lighter. Promise
Okay.
I'm lighter.
Okay.
It is gonna be a little. It is gonna be a little bit spotty in terms of like consistency this week.
Sure.
Probably until all this shit kind of blows over.
Yeah.
I still don't even know if I'm going on vacation. Airports closed, but we could go through Saudi. So that's a whole conversation / decision that I'm trying to figure out. But I just wanted you to know, like, some days I might not be there, some days I will be there.
Okay, for sure.
It's just a matter of like what's going on, what they got us doing. Hopefully they evacuate us. It's sounding like it's gonna get worse before it gets better. So
Yeah.
it's kind of just day by day figuring it out, you know?
For sure, man. And I imagine that the same thing I told Juan, like do as much as you can, man. But again, I wouldn't be being your coach if I wasn't trying to push you. Even on a shitty day, you need to have, not to be all Marini on you, you need to have SOPs and kind of like contingencies in place. Okay, I can't go to the gym. I need to walk around my room like 100 times. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I spent this whole call I was walking around the flight line, just getting
Smart.
steps.
My
Probably
man.
gonna do a couple more laps in like 10 minutes, but I have been better at trying to, if I don't go to the gym, even if I do go to the gym, get steps in, because that was the issue that I was having not too long ago. So I have been better about it. I signed up for a couple of other things, so I've been a little bit more active, which has been pretty fucking sick.
I'm glad, big dog.
That's it.
I'm sorry. Did I
You said
skip your
what?
question?
No, that was it. I just wanted to kind of let you know what was going on.
My man. Sick update. Like I said,
Thank you.
keep me updated, man. I think you're in a much better groove than we were like 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's just keep it up. It's the same process as we did before, Louis. You know what I mean? Are we losing week to week? Are you in a groove? That's the most important thing. The big thing with the deficit, like is just keeping the momentum. If we're doing that, we're good, man.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you, coach.
See you later, man.
See you, man.